My father let my sister make decisions about my life. The outcome wasn't what he expected. Dad handed Courtney the envelope at breakfast. Inside was my college acceptance letter to Stanford. She read it, smiled, then said, "Community college would be better for Riley. Stanford's too far." Dad nodded without looking at me. That was 15 years ago, and I was 21 years old then. I'm 36 now, sitting in my Tesla outside their house. They called me yesterday, desperate. Courtney's husband left her with 3 kids and mountains of debt. They need someone to take the children while she finds work. Dad's exact words were, "Family helps family, Riley. You owe us this." I texted back 5 minutes ago. "Ask Courtney what she thinks I should do. I'll follow her advice exactly like you made me follow it my whole life." I turned off my phone and drove away. Let me tell you how we got here, because this story is wild. Drop a comment about where you're watching from. I read every single one. My name is Riley Chen Parker, and I grew up in a house where my older sister made every major decision about my life. Not because she was smarter or because I asked her to. Because Dad decided when I was 7 that Courtney, who was 10, had better judgment than me. It started small. Courtney picked my clothes for school photos. She chose which sports I could try. She decided if I could go to birthday parties. Mom died when I was 5, so it was just the 3 of us. Dad worked long hours managing a furniture store and came home exhausted. Letting Courtney handle things was easier for him. By the time I was in high school, she controlled everything. Which classes I took, which friends I could have, even what time I had to be home. Dad backed her completely. The Stanford thing broke something in me. I had worked 4 years for that acceptance. Perfect grades, volunteer work, 3 sports. The letter came on a Tuesday. I was so happy I cried. Then Dad called Courtney at work. She was 24, living in an apartment downtown, working as a bank teller. She came over that evening, read the letter, and delivered her judgment. Stanford's too expensive and too far. Riley should stay local, save money, live at home, community college for 2 years, then state university. Dad agreed immediately. I tried to fight. I had scholarships, financial aid, everything lined up. Dad just said, "Your sister knows best. She's older, she understands these things." I filled out the community college application that week. I stayed home. I watched my dreams get smaller because Courtney decided they should. Community college wasn't terrible. I studied business, made decent grades, but I watched my classmates from high school post photos from universities across the country. New friends, new experiences, freedom. I had none of that. Courtney still controlled my schedule. I had to be home by 9 on weekdays, 11 on weekends. I was 22 years old with a curfew. If I protested, Dad would say, "She's trying to keep you safe. Listen to your sister." When I wanted to study abroad for a semester, Courtney said no. Too dangerous for a young woman alone. Dad agreed. When I got offered an internship in another city, Courtney said no. I should stay close to family. Dad agreed. Every single opportunity that could have changed my life, she blocked it. And Dad let her. I met Andrew during my last semester at community college. He was sweet, studying engineering, had big plans. We dated for 6 months before I mentioned him to Dad. Courtney came over the next day to meet him. She asked him questions for 2 hours. His family background, his career plans, his finances. A week later, she called me. "He's not right for you, Riley. He's too ambitious. He'll move away for work and expect you to follow. You should date someone more local, more stable." I was 23. I didn't ask her opinion, but Dad insisted I listen. Courtney's been married. She knows what makes relationships work. I broke up with Andrew the next month. He's a successful engineer in Seattle now. Married, 2 kids, happy. I see his updates sometimes and wonder what my life could have been. The years blurred together. I transferred to State University, lived at home, followed every rule Courtney set. I graduated at 25 with a business degree and decent grades. I got a job at an insurance company doing data entry. It was boring but stable. Courtney approved. Dad was proud. I felt dead inside. I was making $32,000 a year, living in my childhood bedroom and watching life pass by. My coworkers went out for drinks after work. Courtney said bars were dangerous. My college friends traveled. Courtney said travel was wasteful. A guy from work asked me out. Courtney ran a background check and said no. I was 27 years old and had never made a single important decision for myself. That's when Aunt Patricia called. Aunt Patricia was Mom's younger sister. She lived in Austin, ran her own marketing firm, and visited maybe twice a year. She called me on my 27th birthday. "Riley, I need to ask you something. Are you happy?" The question caught me off guard. Nobody had ever asked me that. I started crying. She listened while I explained everything: the control, the decisions, the life I didn't choose. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "Your mother would be horrified. She fought so hard for her own independence. She'd never want this for you." She offered me a job, entry level at her marketing firm in Austin. The pay was $40,000 with room to grow. She'd help me find an apartment. All I had to do was say yes. I told Courtney that night. Courtney's response was immediate and harsh. "Austin? Absolutely not. You don't know anyone there except Patricia. You've never lived alone. You'll fail, come running back, and waste everyone's time and money." Dad backed her up. "Your sister's right. Austin's too big, too far. You have a good job here. Why risk it?" I tried to explain. The opportunity, the growth, the chance to finally build my own life. Courtney cut me off. "You're being selfish and immature. This is exactly why you need guidance. You make emotional decisions without thinking them through." I was so tired. Tired of fighting. Tired of being told I couldn't handle my own life. So I did something I'd never done before. I said, "I'm going anyway." The silence in the room was thick enough to cut. Dad's face went red. He'd never heard me directly disobey before. "Riley, you will listen to your sister. This discussion is over." I stood up. My hands were shaking, but my voice was steady. "I'm 27 years old. I'm taking the job. I'm moving to Austin." Courtney actually laughed. "With what money? You have maybe $3,000 in savings, first month's rent, deposit, moving costs. You can't afford it." She was right. I'd never saved much because I never had expenses. I still didn't pay rent at home. But Aunt Patricia had offered to loan me the moving costs. I told them that. Courtney's face twisted. "Of course Patricia's involved. She's always undermined this family. Fine, go. But when you fail and need help, don't expect us to bail you out." I moved to Austin 3 weeks later. Best decision I ever made. Austin was overwhelming at first. The city was huge, the traffic insane, my apartment tiny and expensive. I cried the first week, doubting everything. Then work started. Aunt Patricia put me on small projects, teaching me marketing basics. I learned social media management, email campaigns, client relations. I was terrible at first, made mistakes, missed deadlines, felt stupid. But Patricia was patient. She let me fail and learn, something Courtney never allowed. After 6 months, I got my first solo client, a small bakery needing help with Instagram. I created content, ran ads, tracked engagement. In 3 months, their followers tripled. They got so much business, they had to hire more staff. They sent me a thank you card and cookies. I felt proud for the first time in years. I didn't talk to Dad or Courtney for 8 months. They called occasionally, asking when I was coming home. I kept the conversations short. Then Aunt Patricia promoted me. Account manager, $55,000 a year. I was 28, making real money, building actual skills. I moved to a better apartment. I made friends. I started dating. Nothing serious, just learning what I liked, what I wanted. I took a weekend trip to New Orleans with coworkers. Nobody asked permission. Nobody told me it was dangerous. I just went. The freedom was intoxicating. I sent Dad photos from the trip. He called immediately. "Does Courtney know you're traveling alone?" I almost laughed. "Dad, I'm an adult. I don't need Courtney's permission." He sounded hurt. "She's trying to protect you." I hung up, feeling guilty but free. At 29, I met Owen at a marketing conference. He was funny, kind, ran his own small tech company. We talked for hours about work, life, dreams. He asked me to dinner. I said yes without consulting anyone. We dated for a year. He was supportive, encouraging, everything Andrew could have been if I'd been allowed to choose him. Owen pushed me to take risks at work. When Patricia offered me a partnership track position, I hesitated. Owen said, "You're brilliant at this. Take the opportunity." I did. At 30, I became a junior partner. My salary jumped to $85,000. I bought a condo. Small, but mine. Owen helped me move in. We talked about the future, about building something together. I was happier than I'd ever been. Then Courtney's marriage fell apart. I heard about it through Dad. Courtney's husband, Blake, had an affair. They'd been married 9 years, had 3 kids under 8. Blake left her for someone younger, someone without 3 children and mounting credit card debt. Dad called me crying. "Your sister needs support. Can you come home for a few weeks?" I took 3 days off and flew back. The house was chaos. Courtney looked exhausted, the kids were crying, Dad was overwhelmed. I helped where I could, cooked meals, watched the kids, listened to Courtney vent. But I noticed something. Every conversation somehow became about my choices. "At least you never got married. Smart move." Or, "Good thing you don't have kids. They're so hard." Like she was taking credit for decisions she'd forced on me. It made my skin crawl. The divorce dragged on for 18 months. Blake fought everything. Custody, assets, support. Courtney had a decent job as a bank manager now, making $60,000. But Blake made more, and his lawyer was better. The final settlement left Courtney with primary custody, minimal child support, and half the marital debt. About $35,000 in credit cards and loans. Dad helped where he could, but he was 68, living on retirement savings. He couldn't cover everything. Courtney struggled. 3 kids in daycare, rent, utilities, debt payments. She called me monthly asking for advice. I gave it, kept my distance, stayed in Austin. Then 6 months ago, everything collapsed. Courtney lost her job. Budget cuts. She had 2 months of savings. She couldn't find new work fast enough. The bills piled up. Dad called me, desperate. "Riley, I need you to help your sister." Dad's voice was shaking. I'd never heard him sound so defeated. Courtney had moved back into the house with the kids. 3 children under 10 in Dad's small 3-bedroom. Noise, chaos, expenses. Dad's retirement money was draining fast. "What do you need?" I asked carefully. "Can you take the kids for a few months, just while Courtney gets back on her feet? She's applying everywhere, but interviews are hard with 3 children. If you watch them in Austin, she can focus on finding work." My stomach dropped. Take 3 kids I barely knew? Disrupt my life, my career, my relationship with Owen? I'd just gotten promoted again. I was making 6 figures, managing major clients. "Dad, I can't. My work, my life here, it's not possible." Dad's response was cold. "Your sister sacrificed years helping raise you. She made sure you made good choices. Now she needs help and you're refusing?" The manipulation was so blatant it almost made me laugh. "Dad, Courtney didn't sacrifice for me, she controlled me. There's a difference." He got angry, actually yelled. "She kept you safe, she kept you from making mistakes, and this is how you repay her?" I stayed calm. "I'll send money, I can help with some bills, but I can't take the kids." He hung up on me. 2 hours later, Courtney called. Her voice was ice. "I always knew you were selfish. I spent years trying to guide you, protect you, and you can't help me for a few months?" I wanted to scream. Instead I said, "You didn't protect me, you stole my choices." The calls continued for weeks. Dad, Courtney, even some distant relatives, all saying the same thing. Family helps family. I owed Courtney. I was being selfish. The guilt was crushing. I talked to Owen. "What do you think I should do?" He was quiet for a moment. "Do you actually owe her anything? Or do they just say you do?" That question changed everything. I thought about Stanford, about Andrew, about every opportunity Courtney blocked. Every dream she killed because it wasn't what she wanted for me. I didn't owe her anything. I'd paid my debts by surviving her control for 27 years. I called Dad back. "I'll help financially. $500 a month for 6 months. That's it." He tried to argue. I cut him off. "That's my offer. Take it or leave it." He took it, but the calls didn't stop. 3 months later, Courtney still hadn't found work. She was applying, doing interviews, but nothing stuck. The job market was tough. Dad called again. "The money helps, but it's not enough. We need more support." I'd already sent $1,500. "Dad, I gave what I could." His voice got hard. "Your sister made sacrifices for you. Real sacrifices. You owe her more than money." That word, "owe," like my entire life was a debt to be paid. I thought about what Aunt Patricia said years ago. Mom would be horrified. I made a decision. "Dad, I want you to do something. Ask Courtney what she thinks I should do about this situation, her exact words. Then I'll follow her advice exactly like you made me follow it my whole life." Silence. "What?" He sounded confused. "You trust her judgment so much. Let's use it." Dad called Courtney that night. Put her on speaker. "Courtney, Riley wants your advice. Should she take the kids for a few months?" I could hear the smugness in her voice. Of course she should. That's what family does. She has the space, the resources. It's selfish not to help. Dad waited for me to agree. Instead, I said, okay, I'll follow that advice exactly. Courtney, you have space and resources. You should take the kids. Oh wait, they're already with you. Perfect. The lying went quiet. Then Courtney exploded. That's not what I meant. You're twisting my words. I kept my voice level. I'm following your logic. You said people with space and resources should help family. You have Dad's house. I'm helping with money. Seems fair. She started yelling. I hung up. I blocked their numbers after that call. Sent the last payment I'd promised, then cut contact completely. Owen supported the decision. You gave them chances. They kept demanding more. Aunt Patricia was proud. You're finally choosing yourself. The guilt lingered for weeks. I'd wake at night wondering if I was wrong. Then I'd remember. Stanford. Andrew. Every dream deferred because Courtney decided it wasn't right for me. My entire 20s stolen by someone who claimed to know better. The guilt faded. 3 months passed. I got engaged to Owen. We planned a small wedding in Austin. I didn't invite Dad or Courtney. I invited Aunt Patricia, my friends, my coworkers, people who supported my choices. The wedding was perfect, simple, joyful, mine. I posted one photo on social media. Just Owen and me, happy. I didn't tag anyone from my old life. Dad found the photo 2 weeks later, called from a number I didn't recognize. I answered by accident. You got married without telling us? His voice cracked. For a moment I felt bad. Then I remembered every important moment he missed because he was backing Courtney's decisions. Dad, you chose her judgment over my happiness for 27 years. I chose mine for once. He tried to argue, said family should be at weddings. I asked him one question. Did you ever tell Courtney she was wrong? Even once? Silence. That's what I thought. I hung up, changed my number, told only the people I trusted. Aunt Patricia threw us a reception. Small, intimate. I danced with Owen, laughed with friends, felt free. This was what life was supposed to feel like. Choices made freely, consequences accepted willingly, joy earned honestly. 6 months after my wedding, Aunt Patricia forwarded me an email. Dad had contacted her, asking for my new number. The email explained everything. Courtney finally found work. Part-time, barely enough. She was drowning in debt, stressed, struggling. Dad's retirement money was almost gone. He'd spent too much helping her. They needed family support. Real support. He wanted to apologize for how they'd treated me. Wanted to rebuild our relationship. Wanted me to consider helping financially again. The email was long, detailed, full of excuses and justifications. I read it twice. Then I wrote back through Aunt Patricia. My response was short. I forgive Dad for his choices. I forgive Courtney for hers. But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. I'm building a life based on my decisions now. I wish them well. Aunt Patricia sent it. Dad never responded. I'm 36 now. Owen and I have been married 3 years. We have a daughter, Emma, who's 18 months old. I run my own marketing firm now, split from Aunt Patricia's company on good terms. I make $200,000 a year. We bought a house, small yard, good schools nearby, room to grow. I make every decision about Emma's life carefully. What she eats, what she wears, what activities she tries. But I watch for the moment when she's old enough to choose for herself. I'll teach her young that her voice matters, that her choices are hers, that nobody, not even family, gets to decide her path. She'll make mistakes. I'll let her. She'll learn. I'll support her. She'll grow into whoever she's meant to be, not who someone else decides she should be. Last week I got a letter, handwritten from Courtney. No return address, sent through Aunt Patricia. I almost threw it away. Owen said read it, then decide. So I did. She apologized, said she realized over the years that she'd controlled me out of fear. Fear that I'd get hurt, make mistakes, suffer. She thought she was protecting me. She understood now that she'd stolen my 20s. She was sorry. She didn't expect forgiveness. Just wanted me to know. The letter was 3 pages. Detailed, specific, seemingly genuine. I read it twice. Then I wrote back, 1 page. I thanked her for the apology. I explained that I'd forgiven her years ago for my own peace. But forgiveness didn't erase what happened. I'd built a life without her input. I was happy. I hoped she found happiness too. I sent it, felt nothing. No anger, no relief. Just closure. Yesterday Dad called Aunt Patricia again. Courtney found a better job. The kids are doing well. Dad's finances stabilized. They were okay now. He wanted me to know, wanted to see if maybe we could talk sometime. Meet Emma. Be family again. Aunt Patricia asked what I wanted. I thought about it for a long time. I thought about forgiveness and boundaries, about second chances and self-protection. I'm still thinking, maybe someday I'll let them back in, carefully, with clear boundaries on my terms. Maybe I won't. Either way, the choice is mine. That's what matters. For 27 years, other people decided my path. Now I choose. Every single day, I choose. And whether Dad and Courtney are part of that choice or not, I'm finally free. If you stayed until the end, thank you. Drop a comment about what you'd do in my situation. And remember, your life is yours to choose. Don't let anyone take that from you, not even family. My father let my sister make decisions about my life. The outcome wasn't what he expected.